Okay. Okay, welcome back to another live stream. Last week was a bit of a disaster, but thanks to Krista Lagerfeld, he managed to, I don't know, recuperate something from it. We're back at home today. Mario, welcome. How are you?
Hello, Bill. Very well, thank you. Nice to see you again.
And you. Well, we got a bit messed up. We're going to talk about the council meeting for what month is this? Oh, November. We got a bit messed about with it, Mario, didn't we? It was put to one date. It wasn't the last Wednesday of the month. Then put to another date. It still wasn't the last Wednesday of the month.
Correct. Everything has moved to the 23rd of November. This could explain for the first time so many points delivered to us, the councillors, less than 24 hours in advance. I'm talking about the commission, that you know it is the small meeting that we
Sure.
have before our pleno, in order not to discuss so long in the pleno. So this time in the commission, we were dealing with a lot of points delivered the night before, mainly all those kind of invoices which are expenditure without a proper contract.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we always vote against. Not because we don't want to pay the suppliers, of course we want to, but simply because we can share the way in which they are doing these kind of things. Just to give you a figure, in the year 2020, they spent 24 million euros in this way. In this way means with a report against from the general auditor, the guy that we call interventor, who is the one that has to authorize the expenditure. It is arranged by the council.
Yeah. So this is like this happens all the time, Mario, doesn't it? It's every council meeting we're approving or they're asking for approval for expenditure that hasn't been approved by the auditor, and we seem to spend an awful lot of time doing this.
It is 11 points out of the 25, including any other business, that are referred to invoices with a proper control, which for us it is unacceptable. We can appreciate that happens eventually, but not in every meeting, in so many occasions, and with so big amounts.
Yeah. Yeah, how much money do you know offhand how much money we were talking about in the last meeting that had to be paid sort of in this way?
In this last meeting, about 650,000 euros.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and it's a very complicated one, as you say, Mario, in the sense that we want suppliers to be paid, but if we just go along with it and approve it with the rest of the government, it's like saying, well, this is okay, isn't it?
Yes, we know from the beginning that they are going to approve that expenditure, so it doesn't matter really what we vote. But we always want to insist in that we would like to pay all those invoices in time, and we would like all this process to be done properly. Fortunately, it is not happening.
Yeah. So what other things were raised in the council meeting then for November, Mario?
Well, in fact, it was an empty pleno, as we could say it. There was nothing, there were no big decisions. They took two letters to be read, one on defense on the children, and another one against violence against women. We all agree that. We all agreed that many years ago. There is no need to repeat that we agree that every year. It would be nice if they bring some decisions, some actions, not simply words and just to justify a picture at the beginning and another one at the end and another one in the middle. We
Yeah.
don't want so many pictures and we don't need so many letters. We just want action.
Yeah.
And the plan was incomplete lack of actions.
Yeah.
For example, there was a motion produced by this lady that was before in Podemos. Now she's a kind of independent, proposing to take some actions regarding the emergency that we declared very officially in September 2019 regarding the climate change and things like that. It was not even discussed. They rejected the possibility to discuss it. That's why we don't propose anything, because we know it will be rejected without discussing. And it's a pity because there are a lot of ideas floating in the air, and there
Mm.
are a lot of actions that Mijas Town Hall could take in order to have a better Mijas, environmentally talking. I don't
Sure.
want to argue whether the climate is changing fast or slow.
Mm.
I'm sure we all agree that there are certain things that we could do and we are not doing. For example, I always remind that we planted 25,000 trees per year, which times 4 years it takes a round figure of 100,000.
Mm.
They are very proud this week as they have planted 400.
Right.
400. And how many have
Yeah.
they demolished in Bosque Chaparral? Many more.
Yeah.
It's a pity.
The thing about all of this climate change, again, Mario, I don't want to get into a debate about whether it's real or it's not real or whatever. But um, there are these kind of random suggestions. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that. I'm not very keen on these things for a very simple reason that I think we shouldn't be making decisions about what we do about climate change unless we have a real strategy for dealing with it and implementing it within Mijas. And all of these kind of random, oh, let's put solar panels on the bus stops. Oh, why don't we put a charging point over there? It just seems to me so random and not actually part of a strategy, and that's what makes me nervous about it, Mario.
Correct. In September 2019, when this matter was raised, we, the Popular Party, proposed 10 actions, and we went even a little bit further. We proposed that those 10 actions should be discussed together with the actions that other parties may propose, to be
Mm,
agreed, to be sorted in order to be included in the budget for the following year, which was 2020.
right.
It was rejected also. So there has been no decisions taken since September 2019. So
Yeah,
people wonder the same question. Why do you decide that we are under an emergency situation and then you do nothing? Keep quiet at least and do not waste our time.
yeah,
Because if you are so concerned about the emergency, why are not you taking any decision? Any at least. That is our complaint and our fear that
mhm,
uh, time goes by and nothing is decided. We
yeah,
have not decided to, for example, something so easy as having a plastic container in every party organized or authorized by the town hall. Now
sure.
in Christmas you will see a lot of events and all the plastic items, all the plastic glasses, the bottles, the glass as such, everything will go to the same bucket and everything will go to the same skip at the end. Why? Cannot we be the sample to follow?
Sure. And you have raised this before, Mario, and we got a rather defensive answer saying we've got enough recycling points and we don't need to do other things. And for me, it was a very simple suggestion, and it wasn't going to cost money to actually put it into practice. But there is this thing that if you suggest it or we suggest it, it ain't going to happen.
It is wrong because it has been suggested by the wrong people from the wrong party. So it has to
Mm,
be wrong by definition.
yeah,
Following that criteria, we will never go ahead. We are always looking backwards. We are discussing all things instead of going ahead and take a lot of decisions. For example,
Yeah.
in the monthly meeting of October, the government announced that we are going to have a new general master plan. Fine,
Yeah.
it is good. It is an obligation to be done every 10 years. We are now something around 15, uh, but nothing happened. Why have not we had a meeting to decide which kind of city we want to, how we want, because before growing much more, I mean, we all want to grow in general, that is positive, but before growing, before building many more houses, why don't we supply water and connect sewage to the houses already existing? I know it may sound weird in Europe. We are not in an African country, but I would like to invest in delivering water and collecting sewage to houses before new highways, new roads, new traffic
Yeah.
lights blinking, and the biggest park in Europe. I think people who have been paying taxes for so many years deserve that the town hall gives them water and collect their sewage.
Yeah.
And that is not happening. We started the way, we did a lot of things in our 4 years, but nothing has been done in that direction since. And people
Yeah.
started to worry, to wonder why? Why not? Why are you talking about building many parks and many houses and many avenues and many sports centers, and you are not able to supply water and collect sewage?
Mm.
Why?
But this is kind of what
That's
I
the
was
question.
saying. Talking about climate change, but what I was saying ties in with this as well. That actions are not strategy. Actions are what you take once you know what your strategy is. And it seems to me that we kind of live in a municipality without a strategy, and these random things get done. Whether they're the right things to spend the money on, as you say, is a totally different question. And I think very often they're not. When people, to say, are not connected to
For
the sim-
example, we all
yeah, go on, Mario. We've got a bit of silence here. I'm not quite sure what that is. Mario's connection's good. Can you hear me okay, Mario? Yeah? Hello, Mario.
sorry, Bill, I think I am losing you.
No, I can hear me fine. I think we've got a little bit of a delay, but okay. I think Mario's doing a little bit of adjustment. Just while he's sorting that, I do have this little. It is in Spanish they would call it a mania. This sort of mania for uh, having a strategy for doing things before we start doing things, knowing what we want to achieve, knowing where we're going, and then deciding on what the courses of action are. But it seems to be that from what I see, things get done, and I'm not criticizing if they're nice things, if they're good things, that's fine. But things get done, and I can't often see what the strategy behind it all is. Oh, Mario is back, and all good, Mario.
Hello again. I have
Yeah.
disconnected from Wi-Fi.
Okay, Mario. There was one or two other things about renaming of streets, wasn't there, in the last council meeting, which has to be done by law and registered with the cadastral department, the sort of land registry department. So there were some naming of streets, weren't there?
Yes, we was also talking about registration of a new avenue that was built in 2015 and that
Right.
not still appear in the cadastre, which is something that should be happening from the month, while other streets that do not exist yet are already included in the catastrophe. So it seems that someone does have clear priorities of what to do and how and when.
Right.
But
Yeah,
that's just a complaint in the monthly meeting as a way of suggesting.
I want to talk about, Mario, the bit that comes, unless if there are any other things that you want to raise from the actual main meeting. But oh, we've lost him again. Seem to be coming and going a little bit. Okay, Mario?
Yes, the monthly meeting was really empty. It was just full of invoices not paid properly, and even though that they were brought to the monthly meeting several months or even years after.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the bit that comes at the end of the council meeting, Mario, which is uh, questions and petitions. Oh, Mario's coming and going a little bit. He is here. Um, there were a number of questions at the end of the meeting, and I have to say it's very
Correct.
rare. It's very rare that we actually get real answers to these things. That they're usually, I don't know, I would call them content-free answers. But Angel did raise some stuff about security, didn't he?
Mhm. The problem with those questions is that sometimes they are simply ignored, or other times you get an answer of a question that you haven't made. But
Yes.
there was something curious. Angel reported a problem of someone that has been attacked on a bridge opposite Norauto in Miramar area.
Mm,
And the mayor, who was fully aware of the situation, was not happy with that. And he said that Angel was more or less painting a war atmosphere in Mijas. And it
mm,
is not true. We believe that Mijas is a safe place in general. We know that reaching zero crime is impossible, but
sure.
we know that something more can be done. We know that the police can be better organized. We know that the Guardia Civil could do something more in Mijas. You know that we have 150 of each of them. And also, the most worrying thing is that 8 policemen, 8 local policemen, will be retiring from their job because of age in the next year, 2022. So, if
Right,
we don't have enough, next year we will have enough minus 8.
right.
So, every year the town hall are authorized to increase the amount of people, the amount of employees they have
Yeah,
from January. We are now in December, and the town
yeah,
hall has not announced how many people they are going to employ. This is something that we are requesting the town hall does, and we want that the maximum number of people of employees that the town hall could have be local policemen, because we believe that with this time of electronic administration, we don't need more civil servants waiting behind a desk for someone to complain.
mm,
We need policemen in the street to avoid crime, so people will not have to queue in the town hall to register their complaints.
yeah. The thing is, Mario, that Angel raised this, and he did give a specific example. But actually, I've been in contact in the last couple of weeks with something like 9 or 10 people, not all of whom were attacked at knife point, and I know two that were attacked at knife point, but 9 or 10 people who have been mugged in the street, 2 people who've been injured with a knife. What are we supposed to do? Just ignore it and pretend everything's okay, or then be accused of scaremongering if we raise it in council meeting and ask for some direct action to be taken?
That's the option that we are giving. Either we do nothing or we act, and our only actions, since we are not in the government, is to report these kind of situations in these monthly meetings and
mm,
request a proper action against. Don't forget that many of those crimes are against tourists who are
yeah,
not living in Mijas, so possibly they go back to their countries before or instead of waiting, looking for a place to register their complaint and driving around Mijas for a couple of hours looking for a parking space. So we believe that there are more small crimes, if you wish, more than the one that they are reported. Having
right.
said that, it is true that the registered crimes have been going down in Mijas for the latest years, mainly during the pandemic, and they are now racing back.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's been some very specific things happening, and we dealt with this on one of the other live streams with Daniela about these guys that hang around the supermarkets with clipboards and
Mhm.
distract you while the other one goes in and steals stuff out your car or takes your purse or whatever. And I've certainly been aware of more people in this last I don't know, let's say 6 months who have been robbed in the street, had their bags stolen. You know, we're not talking about awful crimes, but there are if somebody gets injured in that, that is awful, and the amount of distress that it causes to people to have to replace all their documents is really it is stressful. And
Yes,
I go on.
this happened like in waves. During several weeks, they were following people from the airport,
Mm,
and as soon as they would stop to buy some food and beverage, their car will be vandalized because they
yeah,
knew that there was luggage inside,
sure.
cameras, mobile telephone, passports, money in some cases. Then they are walking around or wandering around in the parking areas of the supermarkets, as you say. But we are more concerned about this group of people that go into houses and sometimes looking for houses already with their inhabitants inside. So
Yeah.
they will be invited, sometimes not politely, to hand over their money and valuables. That
Mm,
is the most that concern us. And that's why there are so many alarmed companies in the area. We know that that is a solution, but at the end, good people are like inside a jail, while the criminals are wandering around completely free. We
yeah.
would like exactly the opposite. The criminals
Yes.
should be in jail, and we, the good people, should be able to walk for free in the street. We
Yeah.
don't need to come back at night completely drunk. And this ministry, very famous of Podemos, said, we just want to go back at home at night, more or less with the same money that we went out in the morning, perhaps with less, but with whatever money we have. We don't want to be invited in the last very moment to give away everything we have in order to not to put our life in danger. That
Yeah.
kind of people should be stopped by the police, taken to the courts, and if they are guilty, they should be in jail for the time enough to change their mind, whichever
Mhm.
time is enough,
Yeah.
whichever.
Yeah. And I wouldn't either want to paint a picture of a Mijas that's like this sort of Wild West. And it
Mhm.
isn't in the main. We do live very well and very safely here. But when these waves of things are happening, I think it's wrong not to raise them and wrong not to bring them to the attention of the government councillors, basically.
Correct, and Angel raised this question in a very polite and educated way. It was
Yes,
not a criticism against someone. It was just a problem that is happening in Mijas, and he was offering his experience and the cooperation of all of us in order to look for a solution.
yeah,
The least he deserved was just thank you. At least that. He
yeah,
perhaps the government is very proud to know everything and being able to manage any kind of problem by themselves without our cooperation. Fine, that's fine. But what they should not is criticize us simply for raising a problem that exists, that is happening, and that may get worse if we ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you say, Angel made it very clear he was not criticizing individuals, and he actually said that the security services, whether it's local police or Guardia, had responded in these situations very quickly and very sensitively. So, this wasn't a criticism, but it was taken as a criticism, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a pity, but it is not our fault. We
No.
did our best, and it is up to the government to take our words for good or for bad. We cannot change their mind, unfortunately.
You did mention oh, okay. Vicky has commented on this that she did hear the mayor's reply to Angel, and he said it was. She says it was defensive and aggressive. Uh,
Defensive and aggressive. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, it
yes.
was.
And I was, I more or less sitting in between Angel and the mayor, so I can hear them both very well and see their faces while they talk. And
Yeah,
yes, it was defensive and aggressive. And there was no need. There
no,
was no need.
no, there wasn't, Mario. Were there any other specific questions or petitions that were raised there that you think stand out that are worth mentioning just now?
No, but the most important is what did not take place in that meeting, which is the yearly budget. You know
All right,
that whenever the yearly budget is approved, and I'm afraid it will not be approved with our votes because it is now the beginning of December. We haven't seen any single paper. We are afraid everything will be delivered to us 24 hours before the vote. Later, it has to go to a public criticism, and there are 20 days for people to object. If someone objects, then that criticism has to be approved or ratified in a following meeting. That means that we may be in February without the proper budget for the year 2022. Uh, People in the street may say, well, we don't really care. It doesn't change our lives. But it does, because the 2nd of January, if there is no budget approved, a lot of people have to waste many hours doing accountancy, extending the budget of the year 2021 towards the year 2022. And
right.
some kind of expenses cannot be transferred automatically from one year to another. So possibly in January and February, they will not be able to pay a lot of things that in general they are paid.
Mm.
But it is only their fault. They knew that this year had only 12 months, as the year before and possibly the year after. So if
Yeah,
you need to complete something in October, why don't you do it in October? And if doing that in October means that you start working in July, so be it. There
yeah,
are 850 people working in the town hall. 850. We are just doing a budget, and there is plenty of money. Because when you are doing a budget, you always have to say no to certain things. In Mijas, fortunately, we can say yes to almost everything.
right.
It is just a question of making a list of priorities and taking
Mm.
them to the monthly to the meeting and be out of what they promise. And I'm afraid they are not proud. They are a little bit ashamed because every year they promise a lot of things and they hardly make 70, 75%. So
Mm.
there are 25% of their promises that vanish in the air.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I have to say that some of the things that we have had to approve this year, and I'm not actually picking on a person here, but for example, the IT department, we've had several requests for payment of invoices because there wasn't enough money in the budget, ring fence money in the budget for them, or because they didn't have contracts in place. Now, I mean, for me, there's a lot of things that are hard
That
to predict what it's going to cost. But your IT services, you should be able to
that
say, this is what it's going to cost.
Yes, and they are minor figures. For example, we all have an antivirus in our computer. The
Yeah.
town hall should have a bigger antivirus because they handle
Whoa. I, I, I thought you'd fallen off your chair there, Mario. I get the earphones in first, Mario.
sorry, a small accident.
But was it you that fell off the chair or the phone that fell off the table?
No, the phone fell off. What I am saying is that there are minor expenditures, as for example the antivirus or certain things that they have to buy continuously. So
Yes.
this is something that is known uh, during many years, and everybody knows that. But we have a problem now that you talk about that department. We have a very serious problem there. In April 2021, that was the deadline to have what we call electronic file. This
Right.
means that instead of delivering a lot of photocopies to us, for example, in every meeting, everything will have an electronic valid copy that can be read, but not only for us, for everybody working with the town hall. Eh,
Right.
and I will give you a sample of that. We are now wasting, and I think I am using the right word, wasting about 400,000 euros per year in sending letters. I
Mm.
would say that 80% of that are returned because either they don't have the proper address or people are not in their house. While
Mm.
if they would use an electronic communication, all these problems will disappear. This
Right.
may not be important in a small village in Soria or in Teruel, but it's very important when 40% of the people in Mijas doesn't live permanently in their houses.
Right.
So one of our complaints is the lack of this expediente electrónico that many other places have already got, many other town halls, and we don't know why we still don't have it in Mijas.
Right.
And we are breaking the law since April 2021.
Well, we can add that to the other stuff, like not paying the bills on time and not having contracts for services. And so we can just add that on the list now.
Yes, but paying the bills late is a big problem for people waiting for that money,
Of course it
not for the rest of us.
is. Hmm.
But this electronic file affects all the population in Mijas,
Right.
mainly those who are fully aware of what is happening.
Mm.
And it's a pity that we had a very good team of 18 people that were called notificadores. These
Hmm.
18 people were people of Mijas that knew every corner of our 150 municipality,
Right.
and that was cancelled. Now we are sending our letters by post, which is served by postman. I have nothing against them, but many of them do not live in Mijas. Some of them are brand new. They don't know the places, and
Hmm.
they are unable to deliver all those letters. And I don't want to blame the fault to all of them. The town hall, which started in our time to put name to the streets and number to the houses, that work has stopped, and there are still a lot of places in need of a proper, clear identification address.
Right.
Without
Mario,
that, many people are unaware of what is happening.
yeah, our time is almost gone, really.
Yes,
And
please.
anything you would like to just say to finish off the November council meeting?
Uh, well, I would say only that we have wasted 11 months of the year, and people in Mijas are not living now better than 11 months ago. And there is
No.
only one more chance before the end of the year to do something for the welfare of Mijas. So let's
Right.
pray that Christmas bring them imagination and a little bit of wish to work hard. And the monthly meeting in December, which we still don't know when it will be, bring us not only the yearly budget, but also the electronic file the name of all the streets and the number of all the houses in Mijas, and they bring back these notificadores. So whatever the town hall has to communicate can be done properly and without so many faults. Let's pray for that.
Mario, thank you very much for joining me. I'm glad it wasn't you that fell off your seat. It was just the phone that fell off the table.
It was the phone.
Because you don't look as if you've been drinking, Mario, you know.
No, not yet. I have a
That's-
terrible flu, but I will be
Mario,
better for next month.
thank you so much for joining us, Mario, and for everyone who's joined us this
All
evening.
right.
Thank you too. And we will be back next week. I think maybe next week might be our last for the year. So we're going to try and get everybody together who's been involved with the live streams, and I'll confirm that during the week. Thank you for those of you who have joined us. It's almost a weekend, so have a great time this weekend, folks, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Mario.